Scribbles, bro.
Okay, hello and welcome to EZConvos. This is our 5th installment, and today for Beth Nyan in New Zealand, we're going to be talking about social media and whether or not it's a blessing or a curse. So I'm joined today by Jack. If you want to introduce yourself. Or not, Jack?
He's a bit
very
shy. Yeah.
That's fine. He's from Birmingham, so he's, a bit slow. Pat?
Hi!
Horace?
Hello.
And Beth Nyan.
Hi.
Okay, so I guess let's just get it started, really. So, Jack, what are your thoughts on social media, mate?
In what?
So, as a whole, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What are your experiences with it?
Nah, I hate it.
Do you hate it? Why?
Because I prefer the old. I don't really like it. I prefer to be out and about instead of.
You prefer the old going out to court a woman kind of thing, don't you? You're a gentleman in that respect.
Yeah.
We'll talk about what you get up to on a Friday, but we'll leave it at that.
We can't talk about that. You get banned.
What about you, Horace? What are your views on social media?
I think it's 50-50 actually. Sometimes it's a blessing, and sometimes it can be bad.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to?
Yeah. Do you want to expand on that? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Elaborate.
I think it depends on the person that is actually using the social media. It depends on the social media. I personally don't use anymore anything except for of Instagram, but just because I think it's less personal, at least for how I use it. But I know that a lot of people tend to get influenced by it, and I mean, I have one of my best friend that legit spend 24 hours a day on Instagram doing stories and blah blah blah. Like if everyone cares, I mean, I don't care, honestly. So, but yeah, I mean, it can be good for you. Maybe, I don't know, if you are a shy person or you lack on self-esteem. It can be useful sometimes, or even better if you follow, all those gurus or girl that pop out, like this beautiful girl, this model, Instagram model. I mean, it can be a curse for sure, but I think sometimes it can push you to better yourself, to improve yourself, Yeah.
So it's like
I mean, it doesn't have to be always a curse. That's what I'm saying. It can be a good thing. It depends on the use that you make about it, of course.
It's like subjective. It depends on the person using it. What do you make of that, Beth Nyan? What are your experiences? Do you agree, or do you have different experiences?
Who was it at the beginning that was talking? James. What was his name?
Fat Jack.
Who's Fat Jay?
Jack's the guy with us now.
Yeah, well, I more agree with. I don't really like it. Like, I have. What do I have? Facebook, but that's purely because I travel. But like, before I went traveling, I never used social media. I just think a huge element of it's just so fake and pretentious. And I think when I went traveling, especially when I was in Australia, like, I met so many people, and I was just like, God, I can't believe that these people actually do this for real, because it was like they didn't care who I was, they didn't care who they were eating with, and every time we went and had something to eat, it was like straight away take a photo, put it on your Instagram, and I was just like, oh my God, I couldn't believe people actually carried on like that. I was like that is so sad. But from a different point of view, I get it. Like in today's world, it's how it is now, like with making business and whatnot. But it's when like those lines blur, you know, when you can have like these so-called like Instagram models and they are their own business, but it's all like based on lies and stuff. And then it's like the effect that it has on their younger generation. So, yeah.
Yeah. Pat, what about you? What are your thoughts before we move on to the conversation?
I think it's just a bit of like what everyone said. It can be a bit of a double-edged sword where it's got good aspects and bad aspects. So obviously the good will be things like more the entrepreneurial things, you know, methods and ways to make your own sort of businesses, to have like your own little startups, whether it be through Twitch, YouTube, Instagram. Like Bethany said, there's ways to basically beat the usual standard monotony of the 9 to 5. But again, it masks what's real and like what's surreal. So a lot of people don't know, and it just a lot of people get stuck into kind of the world of make believe as well. And the more it advances, especially with certain apps, certain people, generally the younger adolescents and young teens, etc., are going to be a lot more susceptible to it. They're going to spend a lot more time on it, and it will affect them probably a lot differently than it would other people who haven't been around social media as long. But I do agree with certain aspects of what Jack said as well regarding missing out on like some of what real life has to offer as opposed to the world behind the screen. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a mix mash. But yeah, that's probably what I would say.
Cool. I think we go on to the conversation part now. So to start it off, I'll just say my own experiences or my own thoughts. If it wasn't for communicating with family members, my Facebook account, I'd disable that straight away. The only reason I really use it is to communicate with people that either I can't text or call. So it's a convenience in that respect. But if it wasn't for that, I would disable it. I think we live in a very, I don't know how else to describe it really, but a very cringe society. So I'll give you an example. At my previous place of employment, we had a guy come in with his kid, and it was like a private tuition company, yeah. And we give the kids like a little trial to see what we offer, and usually obviously the parents are there to check it out, right, to get involved. And the dad was there as a social influencer. Have you ever heard a more pretentious term? A social influencer of Instagram. And he was there. Huh?
I know a few of them.
Oh man, but this was terrible, because I know the whole idea of a social influencer, it's very prestige, look at this, blah, 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 get people to buy products potentially or invest. But this was really bad, because one of my colleagues was showing the kid around. This is what we have here, this is the playroom, this is blah, blah, blah. And she was asking questions to the parent, as is normal. And the parent he completely blanked her and just was looking at the phone, focused on the kid. Completely ignored her, and she felt very uncomfortable after that experience. It's just like, how can you be so detached? I know it's you're pursuing a kind of a venture, it's making you money, but to that extent where your kid's looking at you, seeing that you're ignoring someone because you've got a phone in your hand just for your Instagram, it's so detached. But that's my perspective. But anyway, conversation. I want to just any point you want to chime in, guys. This is going to be completely natural, free flow. To what extent could you argue that social media is a good thing? And if anyone wants to jump in and start that.
I'd say to the extent that it gives the average working Joe, the average person that would never have had much of a voice or the ability to rally a crowd or have his opinion said and heard. It gives everyone, to some degree, an equal opportunity in doing that. How much of that nowadays is as relevant as it may have once been, especially as so many platforms seem to be censoring people for having a contrary opinion to what's perceived as acceptable by the general consensus. But in terms of like a diversity of opinions and whatnot, and the ability to actually outreach, as you said, like the increased globalization, the ability to actually communicate with people outside your local area globally is a huge advantage. You know, setting up companies and whatnot, you have all the marketing tools at your disposal, you know, whatever it may be. So yeah, in that respect, definitely. Anyone else want to jump in?
I just
people-
wanted, I just wanted to say that of course there's like pros and and sorry, I don't know the word. Anyway, like I do remember there was and I believe it came out through social media, and that's because young people get influenced very easily on the internet with social media. I do believe that I remember there was like a game a few years ago that came out. I think the name was Blue Whale, something like that. And it's I don't know.
In Russia, is that the one you're on about?
It wasn't only in Russia. I remember there's been like some few cases here in Italy as well, where young people, were challenging themselves with this kind of creepy game.
I think I know what you're on about. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's just to say that social media gave the opportunity to actually bad people. I mean, creepy people that are dangerous for the society, and social media make these people able to reach out to young people in a very easy way. I mean, I've heard there's as well, I don't know, for example, TikTok, there's a lot of fucking pedo in that.
Yeah, that is true. It's very true.
I don't know. I mean, it's
targeted at kids, isn't it? So obviously predators can exploit that.
Yeah. I mean, and so I don't know. I mean, I'm 30, so of course I see social media in probably a different way. I don't even have tried TikTok, to be honest, but like I think it's like, I don't know, it can be
Gyrating
useful.
on those 10-second clips. You better believe that.
Titty dancing boy.
You better, yeah, boy.
I think Jack could be a very, very big star.
I think
You use Instagram, don't you, Jack?
I do, but
Is it? And you have Snapchat, if I'm not mistaken.
you
Do you have
what?
Snapchat? Do you have Snapchat as well?
Yeah.
Do you? Someone's mic is muffling. Is that thing?
I think it's Jack's.
Do you use that because you want to use it, because you're really interested in it, or do you feel that, oh, I might as well because everyone else is using it, it might be a bit of a laugh kind of thing?
Yeah, it's probably the second option, and I've used it for so long now. Like,
Yeah.
it's just normal. It's like
Yeah.
I'll talk on that over text. You know what I mean? So it's that role, if kind of.
And that's fair, isn't it, to be fair? If you're communicating with your mates and stuff, there's nothing really wrong with it, really.
And there's
I
group
think that's a
chats
good
on there.
point. If I can just come in, because I think, like what you said, it's normal. So, like, as much as I have my views on like certain people and the way they carry on, and I think, oh my god, that's so strange. I have to think, actually, that's so normal for people now. Like, when I was a teen, it was like Bebo and MSN, but it's just normal for people to have their life, so much of their life, on social media. Like, so it's not their fault. It's the way society is, isn't it? So it's not like a personal attack. It's just how I feel. I think it's like, oh, it's just strange. But then, yeah.
But
Most people use it
like
to feel
that-
good and stuff
Yeah.
Sorry.
as well.
Carry on, Joe. You think people use it to feel good about themselves, right?
Yeah. Well, they're posting pictures, likes.
Seeking validation.
They get that. Yeah.
But then,
That's true.
that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of the society, how we're moving. Someone has really bad static in this channel. But yeah, it's like the pursuit for easy self-gratification, isn't it? Looking for the easy ways. But to be fair, to a degree, like Bethany Ann said, if you're raised and born into a society like this, where everything's pretty much all-encompassing
You don't
social
know no
media,
better.
pretty much, exactly. So obviously, it is how it is. But then we may have this sort of negative bias against it because we weren't really raised around it. But again, perhaps we might also have.
Oh, sorry to cut you off. Carry on.
No, just say what you're going to say.
I'll cut in there because I'd like to ask you guys, because we're talking about social media, and have you ever had an experience with social media where whilst you've been doing it, so it could be Facebook or something, you thought, man, this isn't really me, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like for me, for example, this is really cringe, but this is cringe. But like 9 years ago, when I used to go clubbing, adding random people on Facebook was the craze. To see how many Facebook friends you could get. I had no intent on speaking to this Spanish guy. I forgot his name 2 minutes after getting his Facebook. No interest in him. Oh man, do you have Facebook? Wow, yeah, music's cool. Cool, let me add you. Bye. Go home. Yes, I made 20 new Facebook friends. For me, that was like a sense of validation of worth. And I look back at it now and I think, raw, that was cringe. That was really cringe. But do any of you guys, have you ever felt like, looking back now or even in the moment, you thought, man, this isn't really me, but it's going to make me feel good and other people will see that side of me? I don't know.
That's what people do on Instagram now. Like I've had so many people.
Do you think they're conscious of it when they're doing it though? Yeah.
Like say they're good looking or whatever. They'll end up following me, and I look at my followers a day after because I've followed them back, and they'll just be gone. They've unfollowed me because they just getting the followers. Like if you know what I mean. So they're following people to get followed back, and then unfollowing that person, so it looks like they've got more followers. It's just,
they're fishing you in, aren't they?
Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird.
Nahoris, what about you? Sorry, Nahoris, say that again?
No, I was saying that he got trolled.
Oh, they're playing with his heartstrings.
Yeah, poor Jack.
It's just cringe. Like, do you really?
I know you deserve
likes that much, or
you deserve more follower.
We'll give your Instagram a plug after this, don't we?
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing though. Like as you said, but 10 years ago you had the Facebook. 10 years later it's the Instagram. 10 years later it will be a new bandwagon approach to getting acceptance and getting some sort of bandwagon approval. Because I know what you mean, because I had it myself. Like when I started university, I remember having people just randomly going up to anyone, trying to add them as Facebook friends, and you're thinking, like, you don't even know me, like, you want to add me, and it's like I get it, but I think a large part of it is also you want to immerse yourself in what's considered normal, so you don't feel like you're standing out from the pack, and obviously because you don't want because it's that sort of mob mentality bandwagon approach, because you don't want to separate yourself out, because then you'll be a lot easier to identify. And I guess, as you said, you have the social pressures on you, especially when you're younger, because you feel that you need to fit into a certain stereotypical role, have friends, go out, do this, do that. But as you get older, you kind of think, I don't even need the validation of these random people that I don't even know. So yeah.
Imagine if there was no social media there, and all these people getting, like depression and all this because they're not living up to, what they're seeing on Instagram.
Yeah.
If there was none of that, like everyone would be out, everyone would be social, everyone would. But now it's like
you look back at old videos.
People are looking at like fake lives and stuff, and it's like,
oh yeah, and trying to replicate it, and it's just
people actually
so fake. It's like a fragment, like a second of their whole life, and how many times they had to take the same photo to get it perfect.
Yeah.
And people actually watch it and think it's real.
3 hours to
take the perfect photo. Yeah.
My friend in Australia made me take like 1,000. No joke. She only invited me along with her, and she was going to do the same to her other friend, just because she wanted someone to take photos. And I was like shocked. She literally made me take like 1,000 photos in a time. Wow. She would just say, hold the button, and she would scroll through the best one. I was like, that is just crazy. Like I'll take some photos every now and then. And that's it, And like I know when I did like a YouTube thing with my yoga, I like bought some views and stuff because I know that sounds sad, but because that's the way it is. Everything is like fake. You have to sort of like, you know what I mean? Because otherwise it's like, oh, that's a loser.
But to be fair though, you try things out, whether it fails or not. Obviously, you give it a shot, and that's the thing. Like, I get the bad side. And obviously, it's pretty sad when you think about it. But then, when you see, like, for some people, they just try what they can to try to make something of themselves as well. So you see it as a bit of like a self venture to try and, do you get what I mean? Like, some of these people might have aspirations to try to make their own business and this and that. So obviously,
how many people, for every one person, so let's say if you had to put like a ratio on it, how many people do you think are using social media as a business venture and they're aware of it, like, this isn't really me, but I'm capitalizing on this, I've got loads of followers, I've got loads of people watching me, listening to me, I'm going to keep going along with it? How many people are like that, do you reckon, compared to how many people are literally getting sucked into it because they feel they have to? Like, it's like almost like evolution, isn't it? Because humans are like social animals. We're social animals and we want to fit in. We don't want to be the outcast, right? So do you think there's like for every one person using it as a business, there's 100? Yeah. Okay.
It is actually, I mean, social media for business is actually very good. I mean, I've tried it with my photos, I mean, back in the days, but I mean, I was not really bothered with that, so I didn't really care about it. But like, it's, if you choose a good platform where to show your work, like, it's a good thing. Like, I mean, you're gonna get like, especially with Instagram nowadays, you might be noticed, you know, like, just for the hashtag things. But I mean, I don't think that social media are bad for business at all. I actually think it's a very big improvement. Of course, not for every kind of business, but like, there's a lot of business that have gained a lot of money and such as with the social media.
But that's the thing. It's just like, it's basically the new normal. So it's okay to take a step back and say, "Ugh, that's a bit cringe," or this or that. But at the same time, if society is going one way, and the social media is on that train to advancement and to get, you need to use every tool at your disposal to pretty much make it. So whether that means, like what Nahara said, publishing your own stuff so you get more of a global audience, because you're not competing locally anymore. To an extent, you're kind of competing globally as well. Website, social media, getting your word out, getting your brand out, etc., all these sort of tools. So you use what you can at your disposal. So to that degree, yeah, it's great, but
it requires a lot of work as well. I mean, it's not that easy at all.
There's probably like 4 billion other people doing it as well.
Exactly.
It's not just for that. Like, I mean, it's not, at least for me, I didn't find it easy, but maybe because I'm not good at, sponsor myself with my work. So that's maybe me, but
I say that, but like Jack said as well, for every one of you, there's another.
Everyone's at it.
10 million of people. Doing
I think it's like luck as well.
A lot of it will be luck. A lot of it will be just
actually
right
being
place,
really
right time. Some of it might just be exceptional, like insanely exceptional talent. That's just like, out of the ordinary, that good. So yeah, there's a lot of factors to it, but then I also
look at us now. We're using social media to talk, aren't we? This is social media, isn't it?
Exactly.
So,
You hypocrites.
But no, the thing is, we're aware of it.
You can moan about it, but you have to go along with it.
We're aware of how useful it is.
I mean,
WhatsApp
is a social media as well, and I mean, I use it a lot to stay in contact with my friend, but they are all in real life friends, like.
Do you think we need to draw a distinction perhaps between social media as a means of having a conversation or reaching out to people, and social media as a kind of platform where you can put on a false persona?
I think I saw that WhatsApp now, you can do with WhatsApp as well, some kind of story. So I mean, I think that is evolving as well in some kind of, you know, social media.
I'm glad you. Yeah, sorry.
I don't know. I mean, I think everything is evolving to stay at the, you know, one step above every time to keep people, you know, interested in, you know, that platform or that other platform.
Because you mentioned the whole, so now WhatsApp has a story function. I wanted to talk about we talked about the negatives and the benefits and all that, but what about how social media has impacted regular media? So, for example, here in Britain, during this whole coronavirus thing, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it, Pat, Jack, Beth Nyan, but there's been a huge influx in adverts from people's own Instagrams and TikTok. And for me, it's just incredibly cringe to see normal people at home trying to be entertainers. I long for the days of Ant and Dec to come back. I never thought I'd say that again. But like normal entertainers, normal Z-list celebrities. Do you guys feel like that? Like social media is giving a platform to people that perhaps aren't really interesting, but because everyone's using it, it's all over the place. And it's like, for us, it's like, this is really cringe. Whereas everyone else is like, oh, this is normal.
But then to an extent, though, like, look, 20 years ago, people would have probably said the same thing about people sitting around on a sofa all day watching TV. 20 years later, it's the same thing, but instead of a television, it's social media. 20 years later, it might be virtual reality. Do you get what I mean? So there's always some sort of advancement. To a degree, I get what you mean, as in, like, treasuring actual people who may perhaps have some sort of talent, something to actually offer as opposed to the average Joe. But then saying that perhaps social media gives some sort of credence and voice to such people. Just look, for example, on YouTube, the amount of content or good actually like well, you know, eloquent speaking intellectuals that actually have a really good platform and voice of opinion, whereas before you were just stuck with the typical mainstream. So everything was pretty much regurgitated.
Well, for every one of those, you got 100. I'm in my mum's car videos.
Yeah. But then usually they don't succeed. So you know, that's the thing. But at the same time, no, I get it. But at the same time, I kind of think
you
like
get a Paul Logan or someone like that.
Sometimes you just have to try it out. I think, you know, yeah.
I'm gonna get Jack coming out. What's that, Jack?
Look at that "Catch Me Outside" girl, man. Like,
oh my god, that's what
happened. Fill me in.
So, Jack, do you wanna fill us in?
Carry on.
Fill us in about the "Catch Me Outside" person.
Well, it changed her life overnight, really, didn't it?
She was basically the person that was in the video, and she was caught. Was it arguing with someone? And she said, "Catch me outside," and then they invited her to what's that? Dr. Phil, is it?
I see.
Now she's got a singing career, and it's like, wow,
she's a multi-millionaire just from some.
Yeah, but
from social media, right?
But that's what I'm saying, though. Yeah, if you can use it properly at your disposal, you can make.
But she wasn't even using it. She just so happened to be there. That's what I was talking about. The whole diluting quality, you know. It wasn't even her, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was millions of other people, like
glorifying it and bigging it up, and now she's on a platform.
Do you remember the other girl, Little Tay?
Oh my!
Yeah, but they actively did what they could, but they made some good money from it. Obviously, she eventually got exposed, but still,
you made a bit of dollar, and that's what I mean. Like using it as a business venture like that is clever usage of it. Beth Nyan, I just want to get Beth Nyan involved. So would you say that attitudes to social media are the same everywhere? So like you're in New Zealand, for example. Is it as big a thing as it is maybe in Britain or the West? Is it all over the place? Do you think the world is just doomed now?
Yeah, I do think it's everywhere. And was it Jack you saying it's other people. So I think if other people realise they're the ones who have like, you know, they're the ones who put these people in that place. But then... Yeah, there was also this story of this young 18-year-old, and she was like an influencer, and she had millions and whatnot. But then she she was like she died in a motorbike accident or something. So I feel like at the same time it gives these people this like false sense of like security because they've got so many followers and they've got so much money coming in, but you're not like irreplaceable. Do you know what I mean? And people will follow you and then they get bored and then they follow somebody else. I don't know how long how long the I don't know
lifespan
if you
is.
can sustain it long. Do you know what I mean? I often find these people like I'm not envious because I find that like they make millions really quickly, but then I feel like they will lose it really quickly later on down the line. Whereas if you have like a normal career, it's not really gonna like fail on you. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
But so many people are envious of it.
I mean, it can work for a few people.
But it's all just like material stuff and showing off your house and showing off your flat. And I often think, but have you actually got any real friends? Are these people your real friends? Do you have somebody who really likes you for you? I often think you have to like give something of yourself to get that. And I just think, I don't really think it's worth it in the long run. I think you just end up being like a really lonely person.
Horace, do you want to come in?
What?
Do you want to come in? Sorry, you were speaking.
No, I was saying that, I mean, that can work for few, maybe not for everyone that wants to do that as a job, of course. Like, I mean, not everyone can be billionaire, you know what I mean? But, I mean, there's few people that started with, I don't know, YouTube career at the very first, and now they have a lot of money. And those are the people that, I mean, actually created a new kind of job, because nowadays YouTube is a job. There's a lot of people that live with it, you know. There's a lot of people that live with Instagram as well as a job.
And Twitch, I suppose. Like, you have famous streamers like Asmongold and Fixer.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I think that's I don't know. I mean, I think that's a little bit different, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see it has different content, you know. It might be the same kind of thing, like you started with something that was not really a job and you managed to make it become a job, which is, to me, it's awesome. Like, I mean, good for you, good job. Like, maybe probably 5 or 6 years ago, I don't think that there was, no, maybe there was, maybe 10 years ago, there was no one that was actually working with those stuff, like with Twitch.
That's why they're so successful now, because it wasn't for a job, it was because they loved doing it. It was.
I mean, if you think about it, that now young people wants to study has how to become an influencer or how to become a social media presence, you know, like
you can actually do courses and that stuff now.
Yeah, they do.
Enjoy the 30k debt.
Well,
yeah, no, I think it's like a new wave of jobs, and you are right. Like, it's, I suppose, who's to say we have to do like a typical 9 to 5? Like, if you can sort of not cheat your way, but you know, if you can make it easier on yourself, and you are like a naturally good person, and if you wouldn't have been given these opportunities, if you weren't born into like a good family or money, or you weren't given the opportunity, then fine. At least it gives everyone like an equal platform. Everyone could go onto YouTube, everyone could go onto Instagram, and I suppose it comes down to you as a character, how you interact with people. So no, I agree completely. Like, it's just it's like a new time, and yeah, I suppose if you can make money from it, fine. But it's, for me, it's where you draw the line between if you're if you're selling a load of lies to like a load of young, vulnerable people, and then they end up believing it and they end up getting ill from it or something, you know.
We've seen the ramifications of that, haven't we, personally? So
because
exactly. That's how that's what I'm thinking.
One thing that I'd want to add as well is like what you said. I think what Jack said regarding when you do something you actually like, and then you get success from that. Obviously, that's awesome. But the thing is, how much of that initial liking changes when you start amassing a following, when you start getting money, when you start having to integrate it into your everyday life to the point where it's not a hobby anymore, it becomes more of a job. because I know a lot of influence people that I've read in the past. Many of them tend to have to take time off because it all starts getting too much. There's a lot of pressure socially, mentally, that starts to build up as well. And as Beth-Yan said as well, generally what a lot of the typical outside person will see is material wealth, money. But, I would say there's at times, there has to be more to life than just money as well. Because you can have it, but whether that's going to fill the void of, feeling that you've got some sort of meaning in your life, I don't know.
I just want to, really interesting conversation. I just want to end on this last question. Do you guys think that we will need to develop a balance between social media and normal life? So on that note, I know friends of mine who, for example, they take not retreats, but they have a weekend or week away from social media, and they come back almost like a detox, and they're aware that social media probably isn't going to go away for a long time, but they are also aware of being glued to your phone all the time or your socials is really bad for you're not aware of your surrounding. We live once, whether or not we live again afterwards, but this life is once, and you need to be aware of it and conscious of you're not there, you're not in the moment kind of thing. So do you think that having a balance between social media and reality, shall we say, makes it fine, as long as you're aware of it and you're not overusing it, and if you use it, that's fine, but also come back to basics every so often. Leave your phone switched off, don't go onto your Instagram, don't go onto your Facebook, just detach from it, even if it's only for a day or even if it's an hour every day. Do you think that's important? And that's an open question to anyone.
Yes, of course it is. I mean, you need to keep yourself healthy in some way. I think that if you use it like a replacement of your life, it's not healthy at all. And I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of people that feel like probably they are living their life through these people that entertain them or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you need to keep yourself attached with the reality. You can't really detach yourself. Otherwise, you're gonna I don't know. I think you're gonna isolate yourself more than probably you are. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't really have a social life nowadays, and that's because they use a lot of social media platform.
It's quite ironic, isn't it, really? Using social media and their actual social life takes a hit from it. Well, Pat, do you want to comment?
I think it's just like with everything, anything new, or just in general, a typical mantra of life, just do things with good balance overall. Anything that you tend to do overly in excess will just probably down the line have some sort of detrimental effects, probably to your mental health. If you're glued constantly on your phone looking for approval and reassurance with likes and whatnot, that's obviously not going to do you any good. It's going to just leave you, and loads of studies have proven it, depressed, anxiety-ridden, low self-confidence, sorry. So a lot of the time you just really need a healthy balance. And again, if you do feel that your time is just being completely engrossed on a phone,
just get off.
And I know some people it's easier said than done, but it's in the marketing company's interest as well to make it as addicting as possible that you don't get off. So a lot of it may be self-realization and education.
Cold turkey.
Yeah.
Trying it. Yeah. Jack, what do you think? Do you think balance is a good thing? Do people seek out balance at the moment, or?
I think our generation can, because we've lived without it. Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't so big. But people growing up, that's all it is. How do they know how to switch it off or know how to not be on it? Do you know what I mean? Whereas we've played outside and I've played down the park in the ponds and catch frogs and all this.
It's the stuff that we take for granted now.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
So they're just like.
No, sorry, John. Sorry to cut you off. Carry on.
It's blessing or a curse, I'm definitely leaned towards it's a curse, especially for growing up with it.
Kind of stress, it makes it more important for us, our generation, when we have kids, and our kids are going to be even more susceptible to it than the current generation. It's going to be really important to kind of, have that time with them away from it. Basic stuff, that we took for granted and probably didn't like when we were younger anyway. But, Bethany, what about you? What are your final thoughts on the whole idea of, striking a balance between the two? Can you live harmoniously with the two, or should you pick one or the other? Ditch social media, or, have a balance?
I think it was interesting what you said about people on social media and they don't have a social life, because I read something about that, like people watch reality this or reality that because they don't actually want to go out and cook, they don't actually want to go out and date, they just want to sit down and watch it all on reality TV because people want like a sheltered life. I would say, I don't know, I think it's more of a curse, but I agree with what Jack was saying. If you've been brought up in that generation, you don't know any different, so it's really up to the older generation to sort of educate the younger ones and to tell them like, this is not reality, like there is more to it than just this, and it's like our responsibility to help these people, because some people thrive with it, but I think the majority of people have so much like pressure on them and they're so self-conscious and whatnot, and it's like young people shouldn't be feeling like this. This should be like the best time of their life, this moment,
Youth is wasted on the young, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like they should just be enjoying their childhood, not worrying about like bleaching their hair or looking like everybody else, because it's all fake. And it's up to it's social influencers who have this responsibility. They get like so much rewards from it. They need to take some responsibility for it as well.
But then, how much would you say is like real life in itself is overrated in comparison to social media? Would anyone like? If that makes sense, like how much of what we seem to big up from real life, going out to a pond or to a park or doing this and that, when you can do everything at the comfort of your own home.
But that's not living.
You're detached from it, aren't you?
It's all about meaning and how real something is, isn't it? And is it real? And is it meaningful or is it fake? I think and only you can tell that from your own feelings and from the other people that you surround yourself with.
People use it as an escape as well. There
is a lot of people. There are a lot of people who have no friends and stuff, and that's their way of. Like it's like people with computer games. Like I know from all of my brothers, that's their escape. So, and fair enough, if it keeps them happy, and it's like your own little world, and you can make yourself happy in it, then. Yeah. You're not doing any harm. It's when it starts doing harm to other people,
I'm interested in what you said, just to close it off, really. It's an interesting point, isn't it? The idea of people are becoming more distant from one another. They're more glued to their own virtual matrix worlds. And I think it's interesting to look at what's going on in the world. There's a huge disassociation. There's so many arguments that stem from people not communicating anymore. People aren't having discussions anymore. And it's interesting. It'll be really interesting to see what happens in the next 40 to 50 years when this generation have grown up, fully immersed in this social media age. How are they going to be when they're older? I'm just intrigued by that. But yeah, no, thanks. We're going to call it there, but really good input, guys. Really good conversation today. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming. And if anyone has any closing thoughts, feel free to share. No? Okay, I guess we'll leave it there. So thanks a lot.